You are sitting in a movie theater. The lights dim. The movie begins. You know there will be good moments and bad ones, plot twists, maybe even tragedy. But you don't stand up and leave. Why? Because you want to see how it all ends. And yet, in real life, we often do the opposite. When faced with an obstacle, a loss, or something unexpected, we feel tempted to give up. We feel crushed and think, I can't take this, the world is against me. The world seems to collapse on us when we realize things are complicated and beyond our control. We cling so tightly to life and to objects, then we attach the word my to everything. My job, my car, my family, my dreams. Why? Because we confuse everything with mine. But what if we could look at life with the same detachment we have when watching a movie? Not as actors consumed by emotions, but as curious spectators eager to see where the story will lead. Today, we'll explore the power of detachment, a perspective that can free us from the obsession with control, from anxiety, and from the heavy burden of mine, mine, mine. We are so attached to things that we constantly use the possessive. My project, my goal, my career. But this small word carries a dangerous illusion. The belief that our happiness depends on what we own or control. When we don't get the promotion, when a relationship fails, when a project collapses, we feel as if our very identity has been wounded. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take on them. In other words, it's not the loss of my project that destroys me, but the idea that this project was part of who I am. Back to the movie theater. If the main character falls, we don't take it personally. If they are betrayed, we don't feel it as an offense against us. And yet we stay. Because we know that every scene, even the painful ones, belongs to the story. Life works the same way. We don't know if the ending will be happy or tragic, but we can still choose to remain curious spectators. The Buddha said clearly, the root of suffering is attachment. When we stop identifying ourselves with our possessions and roles, life becomes lighter. This doesn't mean being apathetic, it means being free. Picture yourself inside a video game. You are the player, but you can also step back and watch yourself from the outside. Every choice, every mission, every obstacle is part of the game. You don't get angry when a level is hard. You know that challenge is what makes the game interesting. When we practice detachment, we stop saying, this is mine, and start seeing things as they are, events happening independent of our ego. Work is not my job. It's simply a project I take part in. A car is not my identity on four wheels. It's just a way to get from point A to point B. This distance allows us to act with clarity. We don't just react impulsively, we choose consciously. If something goes wrong, we can say, it happened, fine. Now, what's the next move? Here lies the central point. We cannot control what happens, but we can control how we respond. The Stoic philosophers often repeated that true freedom does not lie in avoiding pain or problems, but in deciding how to face them. Epictetus put it simply, the things that are within our power are few, but in them lies our freedom. External events may strike us, but we are never forced to respond blindly. There's always a space of choice, and it's precisely in this space that our humanity shines. We are not mere actors trapped in a script. We are cautious spectators who decide how to interpret the scene. How does this play out in everyday life? At work, if I see a project as mine, every criticism feels like a personal attack. But if I see it as a project, criticism becomes a tool to improve it. On social media, if a negative comment hits me, I feel wounded. But if I see it as just one opinion among many, I can evaluate it without being enslaved by it. In relationships, if I think someone is mine, I live in fear of losing them. But if I see them as a gift with whom I share part of my journey, I live that relationship with gratitude, not with anxiety. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean becoming cold. Quite the opposite. It means learning to live fully in the here and now, without being trapped in the past or obsessed with the future. Many of us live in the wrong time, in the past, ruminating on regrets, in the future, projecting fears and expectations. The result? We miss the only real time we have, the present. A problem seen from the present is just a situation to face. A problem seen from the future becomes a catastrophe. A problem seen from the past turns into regret. Think about it. How many times have we ruined the present moment because our mind whispered, what if it ends? What if tomorrow it changes? Detachment allows us to savor each moment without clinging to the outcome. It doesn't mean we stop planning, but that we stop believing life must perfectly align with our plans. Seneca already wrote 2,000 years ago, it's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Detachment helps us recognize what truly matters. So what does it mean to live with detachment? It means having the courage to look at life like the same way we watch a movie. At the theater, when the main character faces tragedy, we don't stand up and say, no, this is too sad, I'm leaving. We stay, because we want to see what happens next. In life, when we face loss, failure, or disappointment, we shouldn't fool ourselves into thinking pain will vanish. Pain comes. It's human, it's inevitable. But we can look at it and say, all right, it happened. Now let's see how the story continues. Detachment doesn't deny suffering. It puts it in the right place. It doesn't give suffering the leading role, but treats it as one scene in a much larger movie. Detachment gives us curiosity. Instead of asking, why me? We can ask, and now, how will I respond? What new path will open up? Think of a book. If we skip the chapters we didn't like, we will never understand the whole story. Life is the same. We can skip chapters, but we can choose the spirit with which we read them. In the end, it all comes down to a choice. Do we live life as a possession to defend, or as a movie worth watching until the very last minute? Next time you face an obstacle, ask yourself, am I reacting like an actor trapped in a scene, or like a free and curious spectator? If we learn this kind of detachment, we will realize nothing truly belongs to us. And precisely because of that, we can live with more freedom and lightness. If this message made you reflect, subscribe to the channel and keep walking this journey with me. Because life, like a movie, is far more interesting when we watch it together.